literally. The Pentagon just released its third batch of UFO files.
Now on Live Now, we are talking about UFO sightings unclassified.
I know what the full truth is, but I know we're being lied to. And the American people know that also. And so, look, the time for disclosure is now. Disclosure today, disclosure tomorrow.
On June 12, 2026, 8 days ago, the Pentagon did something it's never done before. It released 6 videos of unidentified objects, glowing orbs, filmed by military pilots between 2021 and 2025 over American airspace. The FBI investigated the witnesses. Their conclusion, quote, highly credible. This wasn't a leak. This wasn't some grainy footage from a guy in his backyard with a flip phone. This was the United States Department of Defense voluntarily putting this out there for the entire world to see. And here's the thing nobody's talking about. This was the third batch. There have been 3 massive document dumps in 6 weeks. Over 200 files, videos, photographs, audio recordings, NASA transcripts. Something has changed. And if you connect the dots between what's been released, what the whistleblowers are saying, and what is very specifically not in these files, a picture emerges that is stranger and more disturbing than any of the individual pieces. Let me walk you through it. It started on May 8th. The Pentagon dropped its first tranche, 120 PDFs, 28 videos, 14 image files. Some of these documents dated back to the late 1940s. The late 1940s. That's before Roswell was even a word anyone knew. These files had been buried in filing cabinets across at least a dozen federal agencies. The Department of Defense, the FBI, NASA, the National Reconnaissance Office, agencies that don't normally talk to each other, let alone release classified material to the public. Within those first 162 files, there were transcripts from the Apollo missions, Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 17, astronauts on the surface of the moon, reporting objects they couldn't explain. Buzz Aldrin himself described an unusual phenomenon during Apollo 11, an object visible for 5 to 10 seconds. Then the light went out and it vanished. The FBI interviewed him about it. That interview is now public. Another file shows a NASA photograph from Apollo 17 in 1972. 3 dots, arranged in a perfect triangle, in formation, over the lunar surface. The astronauts saw something, the government knew, and they sat on it for over 50 years. 3 weeks after that first release, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman went on Fox News and said something that should have made front-page headlines everywhere. He said the declassified files exposed, quote, years of unexplained encounters that government agencies failed to seriously investigate. Let that sink in. The head of NASA, not some anonymous whistleblower, not a guy with a podcast, the actual administrator of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, is telling the American people that for decades, multiple agencies had evidence of things in our skies they couldn't explain, and they just didn't look into it. That's not incompetence, that's a policy. Then came June 12th, Batch 3, 72 files, 53 documents, 10 images, 6 videos, 3 NASA audio recordings. The videos are what broke through. 4 of them were filmed in the United States between 2021 and 2025. They show objects, described as orbs, moving through the sky, sometimes glowing, sometimes red, performing maneuvers that, according to military pilots who witnessed them, defied known physics. Reuters reported that officials were, quote, left speechless after these observations. One file described glowing orbs appearing over the northeastern United States. Multiple witnesses. Multiple sensors. No explanation. This is not a single incident. This is not a weather balloon. This is not a trick of the light. This is pattern evidence, spanning decades across continents, captured by the most sophisticated sensor systems ever built by human beings. And the government is finally admitting it. But here's where the story gets deeper. Because while the Pentagon was drip-feeding these files to the public, 3 books were about to drop that would change everything. On June 11th, one day before the third batch, a book was published in the United Kingdom. It's called Not for Disclosure. The author is Jonathan Caplan. He's a King's Counsel, a senior barrister, basically the British equivalent of arguing cases before the Supreme Court. This is not a UFO blogger. This is one of the most respected legal minds in the UK. Caplan spent years investigating the UAP phenomenon. He interviewed military personnel, intelligence officers, government officials, people who had signed non-disclosure agreements and were terrified to speak. His conclusion, quote, "There has been an 80-year cover-up of non-human bodies and recovered craft." 80 years, since the 1940s. He went on GB News and presented evidence he described as courtroom level. The kind of evidence that would stand up to cross-examination, the kind that would convict someone. Then there's Luis Elizondo. If you've been following this story, you know the name. Elizondo ran the Pentagon's secretive UFO program, ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. He was literally the guy in charge of investigating this stuff for the US government. His first book, Imminent, came out in 2024 and blew the doors open. He described a multi-decade program of crash retrieval and reverse engineering. He said the US possesses craft of non-human origin. His second book just dropped. It's called Reckoning. And the subtitle tells you everything, the unspoken truth about UFOs and the urgency of now. Urgency. Why urgency? What's changed? What does Elizondo know that makes now the moment? He's not saying explicitly, but reading between the lines of his interviews, the message is clear. Whatever is happening, it's accelerating. And then there's D.W. Pasulka. She's a professor of religious studies, an academic, not a UFO personality. Her upcoming book is called The Others. The subtitle, UFOs, AI, and the Secret Forces Guiding Human Destiny. Pasulka draws a line connecting three things that most people treat as separate: non-human intelligence interacting with humanity throughout history, the sudden and inexplicable rise of artificial intelligence, and the possibility that someone or something has been guiding human development. She frames UFO encounters not as random visitations, but as a pattern. Contact events across centuries, sometimes interpreted as angels, sometimes as spacecraft, always the same underlying phenomenon. Her implication is staggering. The non-human intelligence interacting with us may also be the force behind our technological acceleration. These three books, dropping within weeks of each other, alongside 3 Pentagon document dumps. This is not a coincidence. This is a coordinated disclosure. And what makes it even more suspicious is what the government won't release. Back in 2023, a man named David Grush testified before Congress under oath. Grush was a high-ranking intelligence officer, Air Force, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, National Reconnaissance Office. He had clearances most people don't even know exist. Under oath, he told Congress that the United States possesses a, quote, multi-decade crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. He said the program operates without congressional oversight. He said it possesses non-human biologics, bodies, recovered from crash sites. And he said when he tried to access the program as part of his official duties, he was denied. Denied. A man with top-secret clearance, working for the agency that runs America's spy satellites, was told he wasn't allowed to know about the program. The Pentagon denied his claims, but they didn't provide evidence. They didn't open the books. They just said no. And the 200-plus files released so far, notice what's missing. No crash retrieval documentation, no reverse engineering reports, no mention of biologics, no images of craft in government possession. NASA Chief Isaacman himself admitted it. He said the files show unexplained phenomena, but no alien bodies or spaceships. He didn't say they don't exist. He said they're not in the files. The files being released are the appetizer. The main course is still locked in a skiff somewhere. And the people who know what's in there are either under NDA, too scared to talk, or, in at least 2 cases that reporters have documented, missing. In April of this year, reports surfaced that 2 DARPA scientists working on UAP materials allegedly vanished after Trump's executive order triggered the declassification process. The details are murky. Official sources have been silent, but the story spread through disclosure circles like wildfire. Is it true? I don't know. But here's what I do know. The government has been lying about this for 80 years. They've been caught, and now they're trying to control the narrative. The rolling release format, new files every few weeks, is not transparency. It's managed disclosure. Dribble out enough to satisfy public curiosity while keeping the really explosive material buried forever. Think about what they've admitted so far. Objects performing maneuvers that break the laws of physics. Military pilots saying they've never seen anything like it. Sensors recording data that doesn't make sense. Astronauts seeing things on the moon. FBI agents concluding witnesses are highly credible. They've admitted all of that, and they're acting like it's no big deal. What are they still hiding? Here's my read on the situation. The government knows these things are real. They've known since at least the 1940s. They've recovered craft, they've recovered bodies. They've been trying to reverse engineer the technology, probably with limited success. And now, for reasons we don't fully understand, the phenomenon is becoming more visible, more active. The encounters are increasing. The cover-up is becoming unsustainable. The disclosure we're seeing now is not generosity, it's preparation. They're getting us ready for something. Something they've known about for a long time and can no longer keep secret. What that something is, nobody outside the classified programs knows for sure. Elizondo calls it urgent. Pasulka connects it to the entire arc of human civilization. Caplan says the evidence would stand up in court. Whatever is coming, we are living through the moment when the most consequential secret in human history is being peeled back, layer by layer. The Pentagon has admitted there are things in our skies they cannot explain. That should terrify you. Not because aliens are coming to get us, but because your own government decided you didn't deserve to know about it. And the next batch of files, they're due any day now. If you want to stay ahead of the story, nobody else is connecting, subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. And the people who've been hiding the truth for 80 years, they're running out of places to put it.